Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Sami Zaidan. Well, it had been almost 12 years since an Indian Prime Minister last set foot on Pakistani soil. When it finally happened, we're told the meeting wasn't meticulously planned. It was an off-the-cuff stopover, officials say. India and Pakistan's mutual history has been punctuated with talks and tensions over the past 7 decades. But this visit to Lahore by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has raised hopes something might be about to change. Let's get the thoughts of our guests now. We have here joining us in the studio in Doha is Naveed Ahmed, investigative journalist. In New Delhi, we have Sreeram Chaulia, professor and dean at the Jindal School of International Affairs. And in Kolkata via Skype, Sandipto Dasgupta, Newton Fellow at the India Institute at King's College in London. Welcome to you all. If I could start with Sreeram. How do you see this? Is this a turning point, a breakthrough, or just another incremental step forward?
I think it's certainly unprecedented, the way it was all executed in a very short span of time and without any prior notice to anybody. So it was certainly, a breath of fresh air from Prime Minister Modi in terms of proactive diplomacy. Whether it will be a big turnaround or not, we have to see. Prime Minister Modi believes that he wants to effect, a big turn in history for the subcontinent and to unite the peoples of the subcontinent. He has this broad liberal vision for creating trade, commerce and connectivity across borders. And much of it, of course, has been stymied by our hot and cold relationship with Pakistan. And I think he is hoping this time will be different. There are, of course, skeptics who will look back in history and say, every time we have held out the olive branch, it has been disastrous and we have paid a price in terms of being seen as weak. But I think this time is hopefully going to be different, and Mr. Modi has done his homework well. He has also adopted a kind of a back channel track. Some people are calling it stealth diplomacy.
Okay, before we get into the back channels,
this time it is not idealistic, but also based on realistic expectations.
All right, to Sreeram, in the last 4 weeks, we've had several meetings, haven't we? We've had the two leaders meeting in Paris. We've had Indian and Pakistani security officials meeting in Thailand. We've had India's external affairs minister visiting Pakistan, and now this meeting. Why have things suddenly started to move? I know Naveed said there's economic considerations at play here. What's your take on it?
I wouldn't go with the term desperation. I mean, Mr. Modi is driven by, a passion for making history and remaking history. And I think he's got the political capital behind him. The right wing, which generally objects to any peace overtures to Pakistan, is more or less firmly under control and is now singing his praises. So I think, this is like our Ronald Reagan kind of moment where actually the right, which is in control, can deliver peace and can win over all the objectors and the spoilers. But nonetheless, he has tried to shield the whole process, which is very like a delicate flower, from being attacked by spoilsports, and therefore he has shrouded it, in a lot of secrecy. And I think he has been springing this fait accompli on the people. And in many ways, the public opinion and society is very much in favor of this because he's been able to mobilize this. So it is true that in the past there was harsh rhetoric, but then it was also based upon what India perceived as whether Pakistan was reciprocating or not. It's a very dynamic and fluid relationship. And therefore, what we are seeing now, I think, is Mr. Modi wanting to, as he genuinely says, turn the page of history. And he believes that he has that, strong-willed personal diplomacy. So while, body language may not matter much, the point is if there is a convergence of interests, and I think he sees Mr. Sharif as dependable. So while we have this, nuanced view of the Pakistani polity, there are many actors, the military and so on, but I think he believes that he can really walk hand in hand with Sharif, literally as well as figuratively.
There, the analysis that what we're seeing is a reflection of perhaps what the Indian Prime Minister genuinely wants diplomatically. Some reports say not everyone in Pakistan's cabinet and military are happy with this surprise visit and with the way things are going.
The biggest issue for India, which is cross-border terrorism. I mean, the investigation for the Mumbai attacks has been like snailish, and there's been a lot of backtracking. So it's good that the national security advisors have met, because for India, it's trade and commerce can only go hand in hand when there is an atmosphere free of jihadist violence and sponsorship of terrorism, both on the
Kashmir
Afghan side and on the Indian side. There is this serious concern about Pakistan being a hotbed for militancy and for jihadist extremism.
Naveed,
The moment we are able to
let
overcome
Sreeram
that,
finish the thought, and then I'll give you a
Prime
chance.
Minister Modi has
Naveed.
said that we are going to judge them by their action and intention on terrorism.
What do you make of suggestions that there have been behind or under the table commitments given? Is there anything credible to hold on to there that might make one think that this time, this level of contacts might go somewhere?
I think, the level of destabilization that's happened inside Pakistan because of Frankensteins who they themselves nurtured and who now come back to bite the hand that fed them is such that I think even some parts of the military and the intelligence establishment, which have traditionally been very anti-India instinctively and very jihadist in their mindset, I think they are looking for, turning a page. And I think that's what the NSA dialogue, the National Security Advisors dialogue, pointed to. So we should be hopeful on that count. But I think as Mr. Naveed has been mentioning,
how about, Sreeram, any changes on the Indian side?
The attempt by the Pakistanis to always create a sense of equivalence.
Do you see any reason that India might accept, for example, that long overdue UN referendum on Kashmir? Can a prime minister from the BJP party really afford to take a similarly bold position on resolving Kashmir as he's taken on, flying to Pakistan?
Look, these are 70 years down the line, and Pakistan has also not fulfilled its part of the plebiscite deal, and therefore, we are not heading back that way. The Kashmiris themselves have a view. I have been to Kashmir, the Indian part of Kashmir, often, and we find that there is a sense of normalization happening there. People are getting on with their lives, but the Pakistanis want to be involved in determining the status and the outcome. I think Mr. Modi is very clear on that. There's not going to be any giveaway. In fact, I think India is likely to stick to the status quo. And I think the Pakistanis are in a weaker position to be able to bargain now. They're economically not doing so well. And therefore, I think Mr. Modi senses that, by embracing Mr. Sharif, we're going to create a new kind of a liberal outcome, which is based on interdependence and on softening the border so that there's legitimate movement of people and goods, and so that we can all prosper. And there, I think Mr. Sharif's business links with Indian business persons are most welcome, because that's what's going to take us forward. I don't think we're going to ever give away
Sreeram,
what the Pakistanis demand in a maximalist sense.
Right, okay.
India has not committed its part to the United Nations Security Council, so they can actually start the process. At the same time, there is a symbol of UN presence, and that is UN military observers group.
Hang on, I'm afraid we are out of time. I know this discussion can go on for a few more episodes. We'll come back, I'm sure, to discuss this later.
Hardline is not going to work.
Let's thank our guests, Naveed Ahmed, Sreeram Chaulia, and Sandiptu Dasgupta. And thank you for watching. As always, you can leave your comments on our program page at aljazeera.com. You can post your views on facebook.com/AJ Inside Story, or tweet us at AJ Inside Story. From me, Sami Zaidan, and all the team, for now, it's goodbye.